AlixPartners annual Disruption Index gives us an inside look at how CEOs across the world are prepping for any economic or geopolitical disruptions that may be headed their way. This year's survey showed that many CEOs are worried about the ability of their executive teams to pivot in the face of adversity, with some 70% admitting that they're concerned about their own jobs. Joining us now with more of the findings is AlixPartners CEO Simon Freakley. Simon, always a pleasure to have you on the show. I don't want to be a CEO right now. That sounds like a scary job to have. Talk to us about kind of how you map out 2023 when you're in the hot seat.
Well, they surely are in the hot seat, Pretty, and as you saw, a few of them are now worried they're in an ejector seat, worried about their jobs. Why is that? Well, they're working through a period of profound disruption. I mean, coming out of a pandemic, obviously the biggest disruption in our lifetimes, but a war in Ukraine, the disruption to supply chains, the energy crisis, now we're in an inflationary environment, heading into a recession. The multiplicity of pressures on CEOs is enormous, and the best ones are staying agile and leaning in. But my goodness, it's a stressful time for people.
It is a stressful time, and part of that stress comes through the job market, Simon. I'm wondering, you see one after another tech companies, Micron yesterday, committing to cut 10% of its workforce. Where is most of the pressure coming from? Is it at the top ends? Because honestly, CEOs are losing their job over these times.
Yes, well, I think the talent market has been tight for some time. And even though, of course, that talent market is becoming a little looser, the skills market, the critical skills that people need, is still incredibly tight. What do I mean by that? Well, what came out of our survey, 3,000 chief executives around the world, 10 markets, 9 of the largest economies, what came out of all of these interviews is that the digital facility of management teams and workforces has to be upgraded. Their digital metabolism has to get faster, and the critical digital skills they need are still in extraordinarily short supply. And so, for instance, companies are getting much better at gathering data about their employees, about their supply chain, but without the digital tools to really understand that data, they're data rich but insight poor. So, to answer your question, there's still a critical shortage of digital skills as CEOs quickly try and pivot their strategies to face this extraordinary wave after wave of disruptions.
Well, Simon, I have to ask more about the pivot specifically, because it feels like at the heart of the pivot right now has a lot to do with supply chain issues, and not just inflation, but the geopolitics that are involved with those kind of decisions. What kind of insight can you give us about that kind of decision making?
Well, Chris, let's just take, as you say, the supply chain example. You know, 30 years of globalization, you know, companies got very good, especially large corporates, got very good at just-in-time production. The logistics got so sophisticated that, you know, China being the shop floor of the world, we could track products, they could arrive just in time, helped us with our cost basis. Of course, with these disruptions that we're now facing, CEOs have to make sure they're not just have global supply chains, they have to make sure it's just in case, not just in time. So they have to augment that with regional supply chains, local supply chains, and this requires significant pivots of the logistics of an organization.
Simon, we just have another minute here left with you, but AlixPartners is really known for its restructuring capabilities on top of its advisory work. What are you seeing in terms of that restructuring and potentially distressed opportunity as investors weigh the potential of a recession, potentially deeper than mild?
Yes, well, of course, we are heading into recessionary times, but some markets have been in deep distress for some time. Take retail, for example. But the best leaders, the best companies, they keep as much of their costs variable as they can rather than fixed. They defend their balance sheets to make sure that they've got cash on their balance sheet, so they always have options. They can take advantage of special situations when they come along. They've already been disposing of non-core assets, so they stay agile by having flexibility in their balance sheets. But I think, are we heading into distressed times? Yes, we are. Will there be opportunities for the best companies? Absolutely.
Simon Freakley, CEO of AlixPartners, always a pleasure to have on the show. Thank you so much for your time.